Okay, well, welcome everybody to happy hour for the Wanto High School class of 1960 and assorted friends. And happy to have you all with us. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'd like to start off with people telling good news stories. They can be from back in high school. It can be about yourself or about anybody else. Make us smile, make us laugh. Tell us what you've done in your life since then. It'd be good for us to know. And we can get on to other more serious stuff later. But it seems that all I've been doing the last few months are obituaries. And I'd like to hear some good news for a change. So I'm going to ask Harry Olson and Melva Olson to start us off, because you have some really interesting stories to share. I've heard some of them myself, but if you could tell us about your respective nursing experience, how you got into it, and also how you met, and that will lead to other very interesting things. So Harry, and Melva, do you mind starting off?
Okay, I'm going to let Melva start because you know me from my bed side at home, and she's from the Albany area, so she'll tell you a little bit about herself, which is very interesting.
Oh, yeah, right. I met Harry in 1982 flying airplanes. He had just gotten back from Haiti, and he was very sick because he ate bad meat. And his brother in Albany, New York said, "Come stay with me till you get on your feet." And so he came up here, he stayed with his brother. He was in aviation mechanic school in Kentucky, and he was planning to go back there, but he decided he wanted to teach flying for a while. And I wanted to learn to fly. So I found a little airport that had a good price. I found two airports. One had a huge price and then one had a more reasonable price. And I went to the more reasonably priced one, and there was Harry. And, it was so scary because he said he wanted to shut the engine off, and that he does it with all of his students, and that you look for a place to land and then you turn the engine back on. And I said, "No, I can't do it. No." So that ended my flying, but I married him, and we went down to Texas for a little bit. He got an aviation mechanic degree and a computer maintenance degree from some colleges down in South Texas. And then we came back to Albany, New York. I had inherited an island that I was raised on. It was a summer home. And we raised our children on this home, while they were little. And it was tough because in the middle of the winter, we had to walk on ice. And when the ice was too thin, we had to break the ice open with our boat and go back and forth. And me being a night nurse, I had to walk across the ice in the dark. And it was hard. My kids call it a little home on the prairie experience. But then Harry decided when he was 52, flying wasn't that lucrative. If they had bad weather, the students would cancel. And so he decided he wanted to be a nurse, and I was shocked. I was really, really shocked. And he did it. And he paid off his nursing loan when he was 62. But it took us to Venezuela, and we worked with indigenous tribes for a 2-week clinic. When the flyer came in the mail, I said, "Hey, Harry, they need nurses in Venezuela for 2 weeks. Do you want to go?" And he said, "Sure." He did anything I wanted to do. And we went down there. It was the most dangerous thing we ever did in our life. People were kidnapped while we were there. The Colombian guerrillas were on the other side of the river that we were having our clinic, on the banks of this river. And you could see Colombia from where we were nursing. And we found out after we got home that the guerrillas were looking for us. They never found us. The people down there had people staked out in the jungle to make sure that nothing would happen to Harry and Melva and the rest of the team. And on the way home in Miami, we got bumped, and they gave us each a $500 voucher. And the next year we went to Switzerland and it was free. And, you know, as the kids got older and got out of the house, we decided to go as traveling nurses. And we went to Alaska and lived in an Eskimo village for 13 months. And then Harry needed open heart surgery. So we had the surgery. It was successful. And we moved to Ketchikan, Alaska. Bought a sailboat and sailed the Inside Passage where all the cruise ships go. They were waving at us and we were waving at them. We were taking pictures of them and they were taking pictures of us. It was so much fun. We had crab pots and we crabbed for Dungeness crab, and we had downriggers on both sides of the sailboat. And we would fish for salmon and we would fish for halibut. We had the time of our life. And then Harry got diagnosed with a AAA aortic aneurysm. It was small, but I said, I don't want it to stay up here because there's nobody here that can fix it, not in Ketchikan. And so we moved back to Albany, New York. That was 2007. Been here since. The house that we're in right now is a house that we built in the 1980s. And when we went to Alaska, one of our sons stayed in it for us to watch it and kept it really good. He put a new roof on for us while we were gone. And it's been a good life. Harry's been sick lately and he's doing really well. I quit my nursing job 2 months ago and I'm staying here at the house all the time and we're just having a ball. We took the ham radio exams and Harry got the highest exam that you can have in ham radio 2 weeks ago. And he passed it. I passed a test last month. I passed another one this month. I'm not as high up as Harry, but we have a ham shack in our living room and we're having a ball. We'll never be shut in.
Are you on the
He'll
island?
never,
We're
and he'll
supposed to
never,
follow that
and he'll never,
story?
what?
We're supposed to follow that story with our stories? It's amazing.
Sure, you
Usually you
must have
start, usually you
been-
start
you
off with
must
the
have
most,
been in the jungle somewhere,
It's all true.
and it's all true.
Everybody else is using it.
all I did was stay in Wanto my whole life.
I probably would have been safer if I stayed in Wanta my whole life.
6,
But Harry,
Oh,
Yeah.
Harry and I are having a ball.
Great.
Let me
Melba,
tell
are
you a
you
little bit
back on your island?
That's it.
Oh, the island is
I
owned by
know
one
it's
of our
valid
kids.
because we got about 10 people on.
Yeah, the island is owned by one of our kids. It's 3 miles from our
Okay,
house.
good.
Okay.
So the passcode is, let me give you the numbers for the passcode. 49 64 79.
Dave, why don't you put yourself on mute?
I was on mute. I got Dave
That's the
Birdsall.
loudest
on the
mute I've
line.
ever heard.
Dave.
Oh, there you go. Now you're on mute. So what were you going to say, Harry?
I was going to tell you about Eleanor's mom. My mom passed away when I was about 12 years old, and I hung out with John a lot of the times. And sometimes in summertime, Eleanor's mom would invite me for supper when they had a big family meal. And that was the most fantastic meal I ever had. Just that somebody cared enough about me to make sure that I ate properly. And she was just a living doll.
Harry's told me that story over and over
She
and over again.
cared so much about you.
She
She
never
did.
told you about the
Really
drive-in
did.
movie until I told you.
No, yeah, I heard a little bit about that,
That-
but I have to tell you, we had just had my 80th birthday party and we played How Well Do You Know Eleanor for my birthday? And Harry, you were the bonus question. The last question was, who was Eleanor's first boyfriend? And Johnny just yelled it out. You were the winning question, but my husband got them all right too.
Hey, I'm sorry I missed some of the
He
story,
was
but if you
talking about my mother, how much she
Uh-huh.
cared about him.
but Harry, if you haven't already said it, why don't you tell the crowd how you happened to wind up being a pilot and where you went as a pilot and what you were doing there? Because that's also a very interesting story.
Oh, it's a long, long drawn out. Wanted to become a missionary pilot, but they require you to be a aviation mechanic before you became a pilot. So that kind of put this cushions on my pilot desire. So I've just taken pilot flying for 20 or 30 years and just kind of got my ratings as the time went by. It's very expensive to rent an airplane and a teacher. So
Tell us about South America and Alaska.
Oh, I didn't fly down there at all, but I think Melvin told you the most part about the Orinoco River and the Colombians. And there was a lady from New York who used to play in a big band in New York City. She was an artist, and she went down there as a missionary. Lived on one of those chairs you take to the beach with a little cook stove, and she lived off of that chair in that cook stove. And they tried to kill her numerous times. She chased her all over the jungle trying to catch her. They never caught her. She died of old age.
And that's where we were. And they showed us an area where a missionary got their head cut off. And I said to Harry, I didn't see that on the brochure when we said we're going to come down here.
So was
It
this Spark that was after you?
It was drug lords that were after us.
It's where the money was. They all made good money off of getting
And
this.
the reason they were mad is because the missionaries told the Colombian people that were Christians to burn the cocaine fields. So they did. And they told them to flee afterwards. And so when they fled, then the drug lords looked for whoever it was that told them to do the burning. And when they found the guy, they cut his head off. And that's where we were to
Wow.
do our little 2-week clinic. I
And
never went back. And
and what
all
were
the
you
trips got canceled after that because a threat of kidnap.
Good thing. What were you
Yeah.
doing in Alaska?
We went there as traveling nurses. They needed nurses in a town called Bethel, which is mostly Eskimo Native people live there. There are 5,000 people there and 5,000 taxi cabs.
No, 72 taxi cabs
72.
for 5,000 people.
And most of the customers had to fly in from little villages around Bethel. Takes them a day or two to get there, and then they get treated and they fly back to they buy their stocks from the store, and then they fly back to their little communities, maybe 100 miles or 150 miles from the actual hospital. But we were basically there at the hospital.
And sometimes they would come by sled on a frozen river in the winter, and they have grandma in the sled with reindeer hides under her and over her. And they come in and have her treated. And at like 2 a.m., it's time to discharge. And they didn't want to stay in Bethel. They put grandma back on the sled with a snow machine, and they drove her home on the frozen river. Talk about tough people. There were no wimps in that Eskimo village, none. And they adored us as nurses. We were really cherished. It was a very good feeling. We volunteered at a radio station. It was a Christian radio station, needed help. I was a janitor, and I filed for the FCC. And before I knew it, I had my own radio health tip show called the Tundra Health Tips. And every week I put on a new topic. And Harry came over and helped me lay floor. We laid flooring in there. Anything that they needed, we did. And the people at the radio station treated us really good. But we were there 13 months, and it was time to move on for better hospital for Harry. There wasn't even a pharmacy there. We had run out of cardiac medicine. I had to get in a plane and fly to Anchorage to get his medicine. So when you have open heart, it's not a good place to hang out. A diabetic should never be there. He's not diabetic, but I mean, they lost a young diabetic boy there. And they do the best that they can. It's the most fascinating ER I've ever worked in, ever. I've seen people scalped. I've seen absolutely, I think, everything in that little ER, major trauma. And, they have no mortuary. So family comes into the morgue and they wash the body and they dress it. And then someone builds the casket. They bring it to the hospital. They put the body in it and they carry it over their shoulder out to a pickup truck. And then they put in the pickup truck, they take it to someone's house and they put it in the living room on the floor. And then they have a big party. And they bury the patients even in the winter with a jackhammer thing that they drill into the soil. And they have little windmills and snakes and little trinkets all over the grave to get rid of the evil spirits. And my first time of seeing a casket over someone's shoulder going through the hospital about freaked me right straight out. And when the babies are born, they take tobacco juice and chewing tobacco. All the women chew tobacco. They put it in the baby's mouth. And so if you don't know why that baby is drooling brown, it freaks you right out because you think, oh my gosh, this baby's, really, really sick. But it's just to calm it down. And when Christmas came, Harry and I went on eBay and we got Santa Claus outfits. And we worked Christmas Eve all night. I was in the ER, he was with pediatrics. And we met in a bathroom and we got into our Santa Claus suits. And we had someone come to our apartment dressed as elves. And we made toys for 2 weeks and we wrapped them. And then we put them in this big black bag that one of the nurses made for Harry. And we carried that black bag with like 70 different toys in it. And we went all through the wards. We gave it to adults, we gave it to children. We went into the kitchen, gave it to the kitchen workers. Then we got into our truck. We went all over town, wherever we knew that there was children. We gave more toys away and we still had like 25 toys. We laid them out on the counter in the ER and there was toys for kids for about 3 days. And we still, until last year, used that Santa Claus outfit every Christmas for our grandchildren.
That is so great. Hey, Rich,
Yeah,
last week-
this Christmas, Harry was too sick. He couldn't get into it. But it really lasted a long time from 2004 until 2022.
that is terrific. Hey, Rich, you've seen a lot of births. You ever see any with tobacco juice drooling out of the mouth?
Just meconium.
Oh, yeah, lots of that.
When the child had a little asphyxia, they would pass their stool, and that was meconium. That was a bad sign, but that's what we saw coming out of the mouth. That'd be suction, work, et cetera, et cetera.
Out of their mouths?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, I practiced OBGYN for about 35 years in the New Brunswick area of New Jersey and married 54 years. I was served 2 years in the Army in between my residency and my practice, going private practice. And I was in Alabama, Anniston, Alabama. I saw some weird things down there, but I have 5 grandchildren. Well, I have 2 daughters, a 53-year-old attorney and a 50-year-old psychologist, and 5 grandchildren. 2 of them just graduated from Union College up in Schenectady, so I know Albany pretty well. And another one graduated from Wisconsin, and the oldest, who's 25, graduated from Emory, and he just got engaged this past weekend. So we have a lot of things going on, and we're living down in Florida now for the last 15, 20 years in the Boca Raton area, and it's not bad. I'm playing tennis, golf, and pickleball, and we're enjoying ourselves so far.
That's great. Thanks. And it's good to have you back with us again. Haven't seen you since one of our online
50th.
reunions.
50th reunion.
Yeah. So Great to see you. Well, I think you showed up for one of our online reunions, didn't you?
Yeah, possibly, yes.
Yeah. But it's been a couple of years, so nice to have you with us again. Who else
Thank
has a good news story for us?
Can I add one more story? This
Oh,
is in
sure, Harry, why not?
reference to my ham experience here locally. I belong to the East Greenbush Ham Group, and one of the members is a physician. And we got to talking, and we were close to a community called Metlakatla, which has a lot of
Indians.
native people that live in that area, about 13 miles from Ketchikan. He was one of the docs at the Metlakatla group, and we started talking, and Melvin knew him from talking to him.
I took orders from him over the phone. I never met him.
And then we talking, and I had a patient, or he had a patient that tried to kill himself, and he took care of the patient. Daddy tried to save him. He was shipped out to Seattle, and coming back to Ketchikan, I was assigned to debride his wounds. And his daughter came down from somewhere as a teacher, and she taught us how they wanted it done from Seattle. But I thought it was really strange that he took care of the same patient going to Seattle, and I took care of the same patient coming back to Metlakatla.
And he showed up at our ham radio Christmas party. And I couldn't believe this is a man that I just talked to on the phone in Alaska to get, orders. And Harry shared the same patient with him. Small world, that's all.
What a coincidence.
Yeah,
I've got a feel-good ham story for you also, which I told to the Olsons, but I don't think anybody else has heard it. Back in 1969 to 71, I was vice consul of the American Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. And it's not necessarily the most stimulating place in the world with things to do, although I managed to find some things. And I found out they had a ham radio club there and no licensing requirements. They had a self-regulating club, and the government kept its hands off. Now, after I left, and it wasn't my fault, but there was a coup, and the king's uncle took over and was eventually killed by the communists. But and then they confiscated all the ham rigs that the guys couldn't ship out of the country. But while I was there, I was a ham, and we got to pick our own call signs. So I was YA1, which stands for YA is Afghanistan, 1 was the capital area, and then my initials, DLC. My wife at the time decided that the DLC should stand for Darling Little Concubine, and she made up the postcards that we'd send each other with a little belly dancer on it, and that was a lot of fun. So one day I am looking to talk to people online, did so, and there's this guy with a pretty good strong signal, and his call sign was JY1, and there was nothing after it, like I was YA1 DLC, he was just JY1. Anyhow, we got to talking and exchanged ham information. I asked his name, he said it was Hussein, he asked my name, I said it was Dave, and then we got off. I went back, I went on to our evening radio club network get together that we had, and I come up on the frequency and I say, hey, I think maybe I was just talking to King Hussein, because he had this weird call sign JY1 with nothing after it. And a guy named Helmut, who was the president of the club, German guy, says, yeah, that's the king, where is he at? I gave him the frequency, suddenly I was totally alone on the net. All the other people, 5, 6 people, went to the frequency I gave them. Each one of them got to talk to the king, but I was the first. And I got one of these cards, an oversized card, bigger than what hams usually send, in an envelope. Usually they're just postcard type things. The envelope has Royal Palace Amman on it. And it was filled out in one hand with the, how good the signal was, how loud it was, and then a little scrawled signature, which I think was Hussein himself. And I can't find the darn thing.
Wow.
Anyway, Helmut gave us all these little stickers to put on our ham rigs and saying IWTK. That was an award he gave out, meant I worked the king. And I had that the rest of the time that I was in Afghanistan. I guess I eventually sold my rig back in the States. I never did learn Morse code well enough to get qualified in the US. And now it's not even required. So, but anyhow, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I took that radio on a trip across the wilds of central Afghanistan, working mobile. This was a trip that had no reason to happen, except that we wanted to have a trip. So instead of the mission dictating the trip dictating the mission. I put a little classified ad in our official American newsletter and attracted some people from AID and some people from the military attache's office. And they each had reasons to want to go across the top of Afghanistan, so to speak, from the eastern end, western end to the eastern end. And like the communications officer wanted to check out communications, and the military attache's office wanted to check out escape routes if we ever need to. We found reasons because we wanted to make the trip. So we worked people all over the world. I mean, they wanted to talk to us because we were so rare on the air. On that trip, one thing I will say that was interesting that still makes me tear up, I stood on the shoulders of the giant Buddha in Bamiyan that the Taliban later destroyed. And I cry every time I think of it, but it's not there. It stood for centuries, you know. But that was quite a trip. But that's the story of ham radio in Afghanistan. I don't know that there's been anybody there since, maybe from the military forces, maybe some of them were hams and they were able to get on. But it was a great time to be in Afghanistan.
Dave, to follow up on your story, we have a VE that lives in a town a little bit north of us. And I was telling him about the story of you meeting, talking to the king. He knew the guy's call sign. I couldn't believe it. He popped out just like that with yesterday. He got the guy's call sign, which is the one that you just gave. And
well, it's unique in the world. There probably wasn't another call sign in the world that didn't have letters after the country and area code. I mean, he was, I guess, the only ham radio operator either in all of Jordan or at least in Amman. So he didn't have to have any initials after his name. Besides, he's the king. He could do what he wanted. But it was JY1, not JY1ABC, but just JY1. And hams at that time, all over the world, knew of that call sign.
Do you think you can cut some trees down that way?
Tell him what I said.
Hey, I can hear Sue in the background, Dave.
My hearing aids.
Oh, okay. Get out of the way.
where's Dave's picture?
What's I'm gonna mute the Birdsalls for now, if I can. And
We don't see
David-
his picture. We don't see his picture at all.
No. Maybe he's saving bandwidth. I don't know. Let's see what happens. If he wants to talk, he can unmute. Or show himself. But we were getting feedback from Sue on the phone. He's in Tennessee. She's up in New York.
Yeah.
They have a granddaughter who's graduating
Graduating, yeah.
and getting all kinds of awards and stuff.
She's quite an athlete.
Yeah, Mike, you want to tell us about that a little bit?
Well, she's coming to UVA, so she's going to be my neighbor.
Hey,
You know, we live in Charlottesville, and she chose to come to UVA. She's won all kinds of athletic awards. But she actually had full scholarships to some universities and chose to go to UVA because of what she wants to pursue in life, and found UVA better with less of an opportunity for athletics scholarship. So she's coming here in spite of it, and looking forward to her when she joins down here in probably August. Well, though we'll be in Maine until October. You know, we still have our place up there that we go summer. In fact, I'm leaving probably in a couple of weeks to head that way. And then we'll spend up and through October, we stay up in Maine. So, and in 7 days, you want good news. In 7 days, it'll be 63 years since Murph and I and Zimmer and Woolwich joined the Air Force.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was the only one that made it a career, and I'm the one that wanted to get out. I peed in bed the second night. We were in, we were in boot camp, and went in and told my drill instructor the next day, I got a bad habit, I pee in bed. So he says, you get your ass over to first aid and you get put back here. So that didn't work. So, and I wound up making it a career, and Murph and Zimmer and Lou got out. So I'm in.
You got any stories you can tell us about Murph?
None that he wanted to share over the network.
How about you, Murphy? Any stories for us? Bob Murphy.
Hi, Bob.
You're on mute? Is he on mute?
I'll get him. No, Bob, yeah, there you go. No. Can you unmute yourself, Bob? There should be a little thing in the lower left-hand corner. Looks like a microphone with a line through it. If you click on that, you should be able to talk.
Your grandson.
And he's got his daughter there. There he goes. So Bob, tell us some stories about yourself, or maybe about Mike or Louis. I'm not hearing you. It's your mic, because right now you're not muted. Can't hear you. Can
We heard him
anybody
in the
hear Bob?
beginning.
No.
We heard him in the beginning.
Yeah, we heard you before. What happened to your microphone? Oh, your computer mic may be turned off. Oh, well, just soak it all in, Bob. We'll come back to you. Maybe Karen can figure something out.
Who's the lady in that last picture? Susan, is that Berto?
Susan? No, that's Susan Schumer.
Okay,
Schubert, rather. She's up here.
you just popped up.
Sue Vanderwood was on the phone with Dave earlier. We heard her. She's not in the same place. All right, Murph, you're.
Can you hear me now, Dave?
Yes, we can. If everybody else will keep quiet. And John, when you're done talking, mute yourself so it doesn't duplicate what, there's no echo. And then when you want to talk again, unmute yourself, all right?
Well, listening to Harry's stories, nothing surprises me. Harry was always out of the box. I remember he was the only freshman to ever make the starting football team on the varsity in the 9th grade. And then in the 10th grade, he quit the football team to join the band. Remember that, Harry?
Yeah, they want me to wear my uniform on the field with the band. I said, that doesn't make sense, so I didn't do it.
And then we'd be standing on the corner down by Al's. We were all into rock and roll. Harry was into a country guitar player called Chet Atkins. And he was always talking about Chet Atkins. We never even heard of this guy, Chet Atkins.
Yeah, I still love him. He's dead now, but he was a fantastic guitar. And he started a lot of people from Nashville on their careers.
Yeah. And my first time going in somebody's car was a 55 Chevy that was parked at the train station. Somehow Harry got the keys to his father's car. Remember Harry?
That was a no-no. Yeah.
So we all got a little pass. Something in the background.
I told Harry's wife
Uh,
about the night we got arrested at the Babylon Drive-In. For sneaking into the drive-in movie. And we all wound up in the jail. And Harry had this metal coffee cup that he kept racking up and down the bars. Right. That was a fun night we had.
you
Only
say
kid that-
you all wound up in jail.
Yeah, at Babylon.
I did not wind up in jail. I don't know what you're
Were you with
talking
us that
about.
night?
I
The only
didn't
kid,
wind up
the
in
only-
jail.
You're muted.
Me and Warner Keller got on the popcorn line, so they never caught us.
Ah.
I wonder how that happened. That would have been a good idea.
Warner Keller used to always tell me wherever I run, he's following me. We had some good times in those days. Good
Well, I'll tell
times.
you.
Are you in touch with Warner these days? Warner,
I haven't heard from Warner in probably about 10 years.
okay.
I always liked him. He was a very nice person.
All
Hey,
right.
Virgil, how is your surgery?
Excuse me?
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
My surgery was so much fun. I really never had that much fun in my whole, you all had a lot of fun in high school. But this was much fun.
Hold
I
up,
think I'll go
Dave.
back.
Murph, I'm gonna mute. Hold up, Dave, for a second. Murph, I'm gonna mute you. When you want to talk, unmute yourself, but everything Dave says, we're hearing twice. So I'm gonna mute you, and when you want to talk, unmute Bob, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Dave, go ahead, you're on.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Yes,
not?
you are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was, I got through it. I had about 5 or 6 days of major pain. And Cindy Zackby, she had called me and she said, "Are you taking Oxycontin?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take a whole boatload of it." And she said, "Get off that stuff. It's habit forming." So I said, "Okay." So I promised her I'd get off it. I got off it. So
My
Right.
wife's cancer, Dave, my wife's cancer doctor said it's not habit forming if you only use it to kill the pain.
yeah,
Using it after the pain, then it's habit forming.
right. But anyway, I went to Tylenol and this drug called Tramadol. And you just take a couple of them, you take 6 Tylenol a day and 3 Tramadol. And that 2 days later, I was fine. You know, I'm
Is
doing it.
Tramadol a muscle relaxer?
It's a pain block.
No.
So
Is it, Rich, is it an opiate?
I don't believe so.
Well,
It's
maybe
just
I
the
could
pain.
take it. Maybe I could take it then. Because I can't take opiates, but at least they don't want me to because it.
What did you have done, Dave?
What's that?
What did,
I hurt my back a few weeks ago, but I don't want to talk about bad news. I want to talk about good news.
well, thanks for asking, everybody. Thanks for all your prayers and everything. I appreciate it.
Well, we're happy you came through it so well.
Dave, they're not showing your picture. I want to see your picture.
Let me see if I can
Whose
get back to
picture?
it.
I can see Dave.
Yeah.
The only one I can't see right now is John Higgins. He's hiding.
What surgery did you have, Dave?
I had my right hip got rebuilt.
Ah,
I was having trouble with that for 2 years. And I thought it was my back all along. But, I never knew one part of my body from the other anyway.
I mean, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. Or your ass from your elbow, they say.
That's what I was trying to say, yeah.
Oh,
But it's good to see everybody. You all look pretty good.
Thank you.
And I got to see Harry. I hadn't
Oh,
seen
we've got some
quite a
more
while.
pictures.
There he is. But
there's Dave. Hi, Dave.
hi, Melva. Good to
How you
meet you.
doing? Good to
Good.
see
I'm
you.
looking forward to that lemon meringue pie you're going to build me.
I'll do it.
So who else got a good news story for us?
You know who has good stories?
Who's
But
that?
is real quiet about it is Sue Schubert. She's got some really good
I'll bet
stories.
she does.
You're in
Come
the
on,
dark.
Sue. Give. I just unmuted you. Now you got to talk.
Well, I don't think I could follow any of the stories that I've heard tonight. I went to Alaska, but on a ship.
That's safe.
I was really safe. You sound like real adventurers. I've been a school teacher forever, so I didn't have any big adventures, except I'm a school teacher, which is pretty good for how old I am.
What did you teach, Sue?
Actually, English, for most of it, English is a second language. So I
All
had
right.
students from all over the world, which was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Kids or adults?
Both. And when I was working for the district, I taught kids. And then retired, I do adult now.
Which district?
East Hartford, Connecticut.
East Hartford.
Yeah. I started in Island Trees, New York, when I first got out of school.
Hey, all right.
I was a kindergarten teacher there. And then I moved to Connecticut and I was a first grade teacher. And then I took time off to raise my kids. And I went back, I was a teacher. Funny stories from my kids. I had this one Pakistani boy. He was the cutest thing. And he was telling me, he and his uncle walked out. He says, we walked out 2 miles. And I said, well, what did you do that for? And he said, to see what was out there, and like learn how different your life is from these kids from around the world who know anything about the modern things. And I said, well, who picked you up from the airport? He said, my uncle. He said, but I was afraid to get in the car. And I said, well, was he a bad driver? He goes, no, I was never in a car. This was only a few years ago. So it was a trip, kind of teaching all these kids and hearing all their stories. I had a lot of kids whose mothers came over as brides, and the poor kids were like scared to death. They're living in a new country with a new father, and very interesting.
Did they learn English?
They did. Yep. And my Indian kids, okay, they would learn in a year because they were just so into learning. And it made me look like this fabulous teacher. And I said, I'm in the school with all the Indian kids. Learn really fast and easily. But
Well,
yeah,
That's great, Sue. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
John Scuderi, you've been silent the whole evening so far. I know you've got stories.
Well, am I on?
You
Well,
are on.
Not really. I mean, I'm just like Susan. I was a teacher for 39 years. And while I had a great time, I had a great career, nothing really out of the ordinary. And like I said, I'm still in Wantua, but we do have a house in Ocean City, Maryland that we were supposed to
Yay.
retire to, but I've been going back and forth every few weeks for 23 years now. I guess I like Wantua.
What did you teach, John?
I was a shop teacher. I taught industrial arts, and then it became technology, and then I taught printing, not printing, I taught, oh, I'm sorry, computers and all the other shop subjects, printing,
In Wantua? Where did you
metalworking,
teach?
woodworking,
Where did you teach?
in Rockville Center, south side.
Yeah.
So that was my career of, like I said, 39 years.
I'll
And
tell you something. Some of the things I learned in shop in junior high, Wantua, I still have used, you know? Electrical shop was fantastic. I can do home repairs. I can't do it in wood because I never took wood shop. A piece of wood sees me coming, smells the fear, and that's the end of that ball game. But I learned a lot in shop, so it's a good subject.
Yeah, we need more vocational, it's really not vocational, we need avocational. And that's basically what I taught. Instead of teaching auto mechanics, we switched to auto maintenance.
Oh,
I had girls in my class. I had one girl, Jerry Marks, who had a little Volkswagen Beetle, the Bug. And she took the class because she wanted to learn how to tune it up. And she learned. Only problem was, she was the only girl in my auto class, one of my auto classes, and she was a real cute little kid. And that was during the time of mini skirts, if you remember. And can you imagine somebody trying to work under the rear hood of a Volkswagen Beetle with a mini skirt when they bend over? Was that good? So I had trouble with the guys. I had to try and keep them away from watching her work on her car.
give her a set of coveralls.
I told her that after the first day. I said, you can stay in my class, but you've got to come with jeans on.
That's
You know,
funny.
those are the kind of stories like that.
See, so you got a good news story for
Oh,
us.
yeah, there's lots of
Made me
stories.
laugh.
I have kids that I still socialize with, you know, and they're in their 60s. I'm 80, and we're still friends. So it's been a great career. And I wanted my children to follow my lead, but none of them did. And now a few of them, sorry that they didn't. But teaching was a great career. It was fun to be with people, social, great vacations. Not such great pay, but decent after you worked a number of years. And I had fun. I would do it again. You know, it's one of those things.
So John, when Murph and Zimmer and Woolwich and myself joined the Air Force, and when you didn't know what you were going to do, when I went down to Lackland, they said they had this new field. I says, what is it? And they said, it's data processing. It's working on tabulating machines. It's indoor work. I said, well, that's good. I guess I'll do that. So that kicked off. I was a programmer on punch cards. And then I've been my entire career in the Air Force, 21 years, I was in technology. Then I got recruited after I retired to go back to New York. And I was 26 years on Wall Street with Merrill Lynch and Citi and Solomon Brothers and all those guys. And Harry, I took up flying while I was in New York and flew out of New Jersey. I was a neighbor to Richie, but we never knew that. He was in New Brunswick, I was in Princeton. And I flew out of Princeton Airport. I used to take people on tours up around the Statue of Liberty, up the Hudson, all that jazz. Then I retired again and came down, wind up, because I have 4 daughters. Interesting, I have one 59, 57, 55, and 25. And then I have 8 grandkids in between. And then I have 5 great grandkids. So we're in Charlottesville. I have one daughter in Manassas, one in Culpeper, one in Fredericksburg. So we're spread throughout the state. And then I've been concise. When I come down here, I wound up consulting with the Navy, and a former colleague of mine was at Citi, and he was now the Chief Technology Officer, Department of Justice. So he asked me to come over there and run IT risk. I did that, and I then went into FAA and NASA on GPS spoofing. Then I wound up going into all kinds of things. I was into on GPS and spoofing. If you did it in a car, it's not a big deal to alternate a signal. But if you do it in a battleship or a jet fighter, by 3 degrees, you could be in a different country. Anyway, I did a lot of work at cybersecurity for Department of Homeland Security, and I've retired from that a couple of times, but they keep calling me back. I was just in cybersecurity last year. This year now, I'm working in controlling weapons of mass destruction. So I'm still working at 81, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, weapons of mass destruction, I'm dealing with all the state and local first responders all over the country on nuclear, radiological, biological, and chemical devices, and doing Bluetooth connection to their mobile phones and tablets so they can feed, if they get alerts on their devices, they feed Department of Energy, DOD, FBI, and all kinds of things. So how the hell can I retire when you're doing kind of work that way? So it's about 500,000 devices all over the country with state troopers, municipal police, and first responders like fire department, et cetera. So it's fascinating. I'm on the phone all the time with these guys trying to help them out.
I just wanted to say something. You know, one of the things about work keeps us young.
I thought of the same thing.
I don't know if you heard, but Rich Edom, who I've been trying to get to join our Zoom sessions, moved to South Carolina in the mountains.
Who's that?
Rich Edom.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my God,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
Richie.
guys all know him because he did a lot of work with the reunions and all.
Yeah,
But he's now restoring houses. He's been buying up one house after another, and he's working to restore it. It's keeping him fit, and he just really enjoys the work. He's all alone. I think he has one of his neighbors that works with him every so often, but he's there, and his wife is in Florida most of the time, and they get together back and forth. But he's still working, rebuilding houses.
yeah, I feel the same way, John. I, like I said, I've retired 3 times, but I can't play golf 6 days a week. My game sucked, but so, and there's a need for the kind of work that I've been doing. So why not give back a little bit? So I enjoy it. I work with a lot of young people, and with social media, with Zoom, with Microsoft. So that I have 20 different people that work for me, but one's in San Francisco, one's in LA, one's in Chicago, one's in Atlanta. So we collectively help Homeland Security, but we're all over the country trying to fix this stuff.
Do you have your own business, or are you working for?
Yeah, I have my own consulting company, MVW Consultants. So, I've been doing that for I guess 8 or 9 years.
And if you told us the details of what you were doing, you'd have to kill us, right?
Yeah. So, well, in some instances, for the most part, it's unclassified, especially with the Homeland, with the first responders.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't have security clearances for the most part, so yeah. So who else? There's several people who haven't spoken up yet. Who else has a good story?
Could I ask a question? Who's got the bird?
Yeah, somebody's chirping.
I hear it chirping
We
constantly.
do. 2 parakeets.
Oh, parakeets?
I thought I muted. Let me mute you. Let me
No,
mute.
that's okay. It's cute.
I'd like to hear from Harold Hines' dog.
Yeah.
Well, Harold's got loads of stories between between the oil industry and flying and politics. Give us at least one, Harold.
Okay, look, you all have put up with me all winter being here in Alaska. It is not winter here now, so the story's going to shift a little bit, okay? And I have lots of good memories of our past, but that not necessarily a happy story. So I got to really thinking about a happy story would be like to tell you. And the dog sort of symbolizes that, laying on the bed, it's a nice soft bed and it's a good day and everything. And so I thought I'd talk about today, because for me, at least today, it turned out things are going pretty good. And in Alaska, generally, up here in this time of the year, for instance, if it gets up to 70 degrees and it's not raining, the sun's out, you call that a very good day. As a matter of fact, you even say, thank you, God. I mean, it's one of those kind of days. But there's lots of things going on. I mean, some of them as simple as I can't rival the Santa Claus deal. Okay, let's just be clear. That was great. That's what it's about, like sometimes. But what I could deal with is there was a mention of lemon meringue pie, and on my way from sort of lunch out, I went by one little shop called the Pie Stop, and they had very rarely have them, but they had a lemon meringue pie. And I just ate that before the show. That's why I was a little late getting on, and it was really good. Okay, so that's another part of good day. But the real topper of it all is that it doesn't mean anything to you all, but it's a big deal up here. We're into not only the summer, we're into salmon season. And the salmon come back. There's 5 different types. They come back in different groupings, and they return to their sort of spawning grounds and all that. And in Alaska, it happens all over the place at different times, different rivers and that kind of thing. But today, if you go look up the Anchorage Daily News on the internet later, okay, Anchorage Daily News, okay, very simple name. Look it up. Look at the lead story is, if you're catching fish, it's good fishing. Anglers hit the Russian River to capitalize on robust sockeye salmon run. Okay, now that doesn't mean anything to you. The sockeye salmon is called red in the abbreviation of it all, and they are about medium size. They're 5 to 15 pounds, and 2.5, maybe 3 feet. So they're reasonable. But they're the best eating there is of all the salmon fish. The red salmon is considered pretty top draw, and they are running right now on a place called the Russian River down on the Kenai. And if you go look at the story, you'll see, you can sort of make out there's a bunch of people standing in the river. Okay, and they are doing right now what is called combat fishing. Okay, because the actual fish are running through the center of the river, and people line the banks, and they have on their hip waders so they can get out closer to the fish. And you have to almost cast in synchronous, or everybody gets all fouled up, because you are literally shoulder to shoulder. And it is really good fishing. It doesn't happen very often that you get good runs, but what's today is one of those special days where they've announced now they've only been into about 3 or 4 days of the salmon run, but already enough fish have gotten upriver that they can open the whole season. Okay, and it's going to last for another 2 weeks, and it's happening on the 4th of July weekend. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of happy people down on the Russian River standing next to each other. People don't always exchange names, but if you do a good job, they say thank you or something, but all those kind of things. But anyway, it's an incredible event. And, I thought about what that really means. I've fished a lot in the past and everything, but I'm not going down there today. But this is the kind of day where up here in Alaska, you say, God is good. God is good. he put lots of fish there. He made them dumb enough to bite. And, you know, there's, I'm not drowning and everything else. So,
And
So-
what did they use to catch the fish, Harold?
oh, it's a rod, but, and it's considered fly fishing, but it's not really the fancy fly fishing. It's just basically laying it out there, and it's a kind of a single hook with a little fly type feel to it and everything. And no weight on it, so you can't cast it terribly far, so you kind of flail in the water. But who cares? You know, I mean, it's one of those kind of deals where if you don't get 3 or 4 or 5 an hour, you're not trying. Okay, and even if the people next to you are getting them. And so if you'll go to the newspaper, you will see pictures of what I'm talking about, because this.
So there's no limit, Harold?
I love the made up stories, but this is not a made up story today. And go to Anchorage Daily News and take a look at that story and look at the pictures. And
There's no limit per person, Harold?
What?
There's no limit per person, as much as you can catch?
Oh, of course, we manage our fish up here. Okay, okay. And today it's kind of wide open at 9 fish a day.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
And you can keep 2 days, so you can have 18 fish in possession, is what they say. So, I mean, and it's a lot of fun. And I know some of you ladies may be looking away, but I hate to break it to you, but the ladies generally do better at this kind of fishing than any guy, because the guys always think somehow you got to get it better or whatever, or there's something you can do that will make it better. There's so many fish there. They just can tell it's a lady's pole and they'll jump on it. And it's very good fishing all around,
And-
everybody. So
And how
It's a-
much do these fish weigh?
anywhere from about 5 to 15. They probably, a good one is 10 to 12 pounds.
Okay, so let's say it's 10 pounds. You catch 5 fish. How are you gonna fit them into a creel? I mean,
No, that's why you have a plastic bag with, and you
oh
can
my
string
God.
in the old fashioned way. You string them right away so that they stay fresh. But you actually you cut off you cut the fish up while you're there, and you only take the fillets, you might say, back with you, and that. But again, it's the idea that this is an event that you would not believe, because I mean, here in Anchorage, I mean, we're barely over 500,000 people, okay? And all of them will be down at this one river, standing shoulder to shoulder over this whole 4th of July weekend type thing. And
Mike,
I'm
you
gonna
ever-
be waiting, I'm gonna be waiting for all of them to come back, because I'm not going fishing, but I'm gonna be eating.
Ah.
And because that's when the salmon is good, is the eating part. So anyway, God is good, God is good.
Mike, you had a question or a comment?
A question, what brought you to Anchorage?
What brought me to Anchorage?
Yeah,
I'm an oil man. I left Wantagh High School and went west across the Mississippi River to the Great Rocky Mountains and went to a little school called Colorado School of Mines. And I graduated as a petroleum engineer. And then I did all the things you're supposed to do, which is go in the Army for 2 years. If you all remember, you had the same experience, Vietnam. Okay, I went in the Army. And when I got out of the Army, I was working down in Texas, a place called Midland. And that first summer there, the company I worked for announced the discovery of Prudhoe Bay. And I raised my hand, and I was the youngest of the young, and I got to go. I mean, it took agitating on my part to get there, but I went. And I was one of the first real petroleum engineers that made it up to Alaska as part of that whole new development. And I'm still here. Okay. Now they made me take timeouts because I did behave badly occasionally, and they would send me out of Alaska, but I actually moved to Alaska 4 times since '69. So this is home for me. I'll say it the kindest way I can, which is part of me will be buried here. Okay, so that's just the way it is. There'll be other places parts go, but part of I'm going to be here. So
What part?
Hopefully a scoopful of the ashes.
Okay.
We thought it was Barty Pots.
No, well, it is. It's just it's in a different form.
Thanks for the answer. That's a good
All right,
response.
well, Pat Anderson and Jerry Pardone. As long as Jerry was just speaking up, why don't you speak up a little more and tell us some good news?
We just concluded the College Baseball World Series. We just came back from the College World Series where we saw 16 games in 11 days. But I think collectively, I have been to 51 games this year, 24 for UC Irvine. I went to see 8 games in Alabama, 16 games in Nebraska, but I'll let Pat talk about the 3 games that we went to at Mississippi State in Starkville, Mississippi in early May.
Going, our experience at the College World Series, we have met so many wonderful people, and I say we, because Jerry's the one, when we haven't had tickets and he needed to stand online for 4 hours to get standing room only tickets and would talk with people. We had a very interesting trip down to Oxford in October with Sue and Dave to go to an Ole Miss football game, which was amazing. And then through people that we have met over the years, we've been going to the College World Series every year since 2013. And we go for opening ceremonies and we stay till the last game. So last year, when Jerry was online for 4 hours waiting for standing room only, he was in a conversation with these 2 men who were from Mississippi State. And I'm sorry, they were from Ole Miss. I guess it's I get the 2 confused. The Mississippi State are people that we've met through the tailgate. Anyway, they said you have to come to a Mississippi State baseball game. So we did. We went early May, and we kept hearing the reports of how it's just, they have wild tailgate parties in the stadium. So you're at the stadium and you're looking across the field to the outfield. And behind that green fence are barbecues, people bringing food in. The people we were staying with, she made a dip and she brought her crock pot into the stadium. Tony, you'd appreciate this. Anyway, it was just absolutely amazing. The people that we have met and have taken, they've been so generous to us, and we've tried to reciprocate. We have some Ole Miss people who are going up to our Lake Tahoe house over 4th of July, and I'm sure that they'll have a great time. But we did just get back the other night from our 2023 College World Series experience. And LSU, I don't think there was a person left in Louisiana for that final because everybody was cheering, and I felt sorry for the Florida people because they didn't have as many fans. And it went to 3 games. LSU eventually won. Just an absolutely amazing experience, really is. And who knows whether we'll get to go again, because tickets are very, very hard to come by. So we've got some people scouting around for us, but who knows?
Dave's back.
So anyway, it was a lot of fun. We've always enjoyed it.
I've got one more story about ball games. I listened to the Yankees in that perfect game that was pitched last night.
Yeah, yes.
And I think there were 25 of those since the beginning of baseball, 150 years ago. Well, I pitched a game and it was a no-hitter and we lost it. That has only happened one time since 1850, in the pros. So one pitcher has pitched a no-hitter and actually lost the game. So we're two heroes. I'm the hero from One Tour and he's the hero from the pros.
And he's my hero.
There you go. Well, isn't that sweet? So who haven't we heard from? John Higgins, you just came back from a cruise?
Yeah, well, I just came back from the cruise and I also just got off the phone. My granddaughter called because it's her 18th birthday. And she also just came back from a trip to Europe with her classmates. And she is so excited to having just seen the culture of Florence, the fashions of Milan, the French Riviera, Barcelona, and the Sagra Familia. Just so enthusiastic and just reminds us that, you know, the young people coming along have all that enthusiasm that we had when we got out of school. And it was just wonderful to talk to her. And yes, Linda and I just got back. We spent 2 weeks in Ireland on a tour. The first time I was there was about 40 years ago, and I was able to drive around. But I found out that they are no longer interested in renting cars to senior citizens at this age. So we joined a tour and went all around to from Dublin to Cork to Waterford and Killarney, Kilkenny, the Ring of Kerry, and but the highlight was this tour took us to Ashford Castle, and several years ago, that was rated as the #1 hotel in the world. So we got there, and we were on a tour, and they took us on a boat, and they took us out in the middle of this lake and brought us around to the dock at Ashford Castle. And on the dock,
I'm listening to everybody.
There is a full dressed Scottish bagpiper. And we got piped across the bridge. And if you remember the things in, like in Dawn Abbey, they all the staff lines up and greets you and brings you in. And it was really quite an experience. And I certainly never could have done it on my own, but as part of the tour, we were able to do it. And we really love to travel, and we're going to continue to do it as long as we can. It's a wonderful experience. That's what I've been doing.
Thank you, John.
But I've been playing the pickleball too, and I'm pretty good. So if we ever have a pickleball tournament,
Our son will contact you.
Where is it?
He's an avid pickleball. Wherever he goes, he sets up a pickleball game. He goes online.
I don't know if anybody else plays it. It's a great sport.
Yeah. Oh,
We play it here all the time.
yeah.
So who else have we heard from? Let's see.
Tony and Lynn, what are they
Tony and
doing?
Lynn, yeah. What's going on in your lives?
What's going on in our life? Well, we wished we were at the World Series with the Pardones. We say that every year. One of these years we'll get there,
That
but
would be no tickets left.
right.
Yeah.
But we were heartbroken that UVA didn't get very far. For those of you who don't know, Tony went to UVA, our son went there, Tony's brother went there. And the good news is Mike, living in Charlottesville, our son John arranged to take Meredith, the Birdsall's granddaughter, on a little tour. So we're all kind of connected through UVA. But anyway, John was just promoted to Associate Dean of the Architecture School. And
So I guess he's going to be here for a while.
yeah, I think so.
Well, that's
He
good
just
news.
He just started June 1st, so
Oh,
he's
good
a
for
little
him.
overwhelmed, but yeah, he had talked to Dave extensively about becoming a farrier, and when he found out, you had to bend over a lot, he decided he didn't want to go through with that.
Yeah,
but-
stick to architecture.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we wished we were at the World Series with the Pardones, but we did get to see Dave and Sue right before the Pardones were there, and had several really nice day with Dave and Sue. And we had lunch with Mike Vanderwood and his wife, Nancy. When was that? February? March?
Yeah,
February, I
March, I
think.
think.
February?
March.
Yeah,
Late
around there.
February.
And yeah, so that was all good news. It's good to see all of you. We weren't in Florida for a couple of days and stopped in to see Bob Zaberna. And that's always a treat. So if any of you get to Florida and have some time, he's just remarkable to talk with. We really enjoyed that. And
He and Richie ought to get together, right? Richie's in a Boca Raton. And Bob is where? Isn't he right there?
he's in Vieira. His address is Melbourne, where,
Melbourne.
Right.
yeah, Melbourne, Vieira.
Yeah.
And
He's great. We saw him in March when we were down there, and then just kind of dropped in on him. This time we were with Lynn's brothers, who had never met him. So he went through his whole story again. And amazingly, the guy is still inventing things. He's invented a way to get his motorized chair onto a reconditioned and rearranged golf cart so that he can drive it from his chair. He showed us all the drawings and somebody's building it for him.
yeah, they're in the
Amazing.
process of building it. Yeah.
But if
Does he
you
have to
ever
use
around there, or even
oxygen?
call him up, he's so excited to hear from people and see everybody. And every time we're with him, we just enjoy his company and we hear more about his adventures in the whole propulsion era of getting to the moon. And the guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Is he still on oxygen? Does he
Yeah.
wear
No.
oxygen?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really recovered from that. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the damage that the stroke did, he's in good health aside from that.
It
Say
sure
that,
didn't
but
affect his mind.
No,
No,
not
You
at
know,
all.
he's lucky.
Not at all. Just his whole left side.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he wheels around just fine in his motorized scooter. And he designed a ramp to get himself up on the golf cart. And now they're working on a power steering wheel for him.
So he can actually steer the golf cart from his chair, like his little joystick.
Yeah.
He
Right.
said if not, he'll find another way to do it.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, for
right.
sure.
He was supposed to be on this call. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah,
I saw him last month.
that's
and
right. He told us that.
He
Yeah.
was doing great. I mean, he's got stories about the space program that could keep you going for hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Exactly.
amazing. You
Yeah.
know, Buzz Aldrin waving at him and things like that. And just amazing guy.
Yeah.
Well, he was talking about all the calculations they had to do for all this stuff, right? And all they had was slide rules.
Damn right.
No computers, no nothing. Slide rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he did talk a lot about, if you've never seen the movie Hidden Figures,
Yeah.
it's about the space program and all of that. And it involves 3 African-American women who were extremely active at NASA and geniuses in math that did some magic that helped the whole mission and everything. But yeah, he talked about that role and everything of those people. And Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, when they talked about calculators, they meant the women. They did the
Right.
calculations and their job title was calculator.
Right,
You can
exactly.
imagine.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Dave Birdsall, tell us about your Kentucky Derby experience.
Yes.
That's right. We were there when Dave got the invitation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Dave, you're muted.
You're muted, Dave. We can't hear you.
Yeah, I'll get it. There you go.
Yeah, like, it was great. Somebody found out that one of my bucket list things were to go to the Kentucky Derby. And they arranged to get the tickets for Sue and myself. And we thought that was pretty good. And then they gave us the accommodations at the Distill Hotel, which is a major hotel. And the bill for the 3 nights was $3,300. And it was all covered. But
Wow.
What group did this for you?
just a friend of my son's that
Wow.
I guess he liked me. So
Did the $3,300 include breakfast, Dave?
yeah, plus the tickets were the 2 tickets. And we were
Well,
in
if you didn't take the bathrobe.
no, I didn't.
Oh, come on, Dave. You didn't take the bathrobe?
I know, I gave that stuff up. But we were in the suite with the media people. So we had somebody waiting on us hand and foot up there, all kinds of hors d'oeuvres and drinks if you want them. It was a lot of walking, and my hip was in bad shape, but we got through it. And the only thing is that I always wanted to see the horses in the paddock before the race. And I could never get down there. It was like a half a mile away.
Oh, geez.
But the rest of the experience was wonderful. It was, and I'm so indebted to this guy. I don't know. He's in the car business. I'm going to have to buy a car from him.
Did you buy a car from this man? Uh-huh.
Love my cars from him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. The first race, I said to Sue, I said, wow, look at that horse, number 4 he was. And she says, looks like a horse to me. And I said, let's bet that horse. So she bet him, she put $1 on him, and we won $235.
Pretty good.
So I really had, when I said, let's bet that horse, I meant, let's bet him.
Yeah.
And that would have covered our end of the weekend.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
Sue.
Yeah. I didn't want to correct him, but it was 3,300 a night at the
A night?
Oh, you're
hotel.
crying out loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
that's right. You're right.
Yeah,
That's $10,000 for the 3 nights.
exactly. It was absolutely unbelievable.
I'm glad
And
you
the-
corrected me, Sue.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay. No, that's right. I was thinking 3,300 for the whole
Yeah,
thing,
well, that's
which
what it
still
was per
blows my
night.
mind.
Hey, Sue, tell us about the graduation.
Oh, it was fabulous. It's wonderful seeing everybody, I'll tell you, but I'm worn out. I'm exhausted. There's a 2-year-old that was trying to jump off high spots nonstop. So I was trying to babysit and help everybody, but the graduation was great. Meredith was awarded so many awards prior to graduation. At the graduation, they didn't announce it. But she's pretty spectacular with all that she's done and accomplished. I don't know if Dave mentioned it all, but she just went out for track the end of the year for the first time. She was only out for a month. And they put her in a pentathlon and she beat everyone in Suffolk County, even the males, even all the guys. So she
Pretty
wound up going to
incredible.
nationals. Yeah, yeah. So, but besides, she's really a nice person. That's what's more amazing.
Hey,
Got a
Sue,
spectacular smile.
Sue,
Yeah,
did you tell everybody that you're in New York now?
yeah. I'm at the airport. No, I'm at the airport trying to hope there'll be a plane leaving soon.
Which
So they
airport do you
can't.
fly from?
We're at LaGuardia.
Oy.
And yeah, exactly. Our flight was canceled 2 nights ago. So it's our grandson's birthday, Drew, and Danny got him to come into the city. He went to the city to work for a few days as part of the trip here. And when we realized our flight was canceled and he was going to be here for his birthday, I can't believe it. Danny walked over 9 miles with him today, and they went and they did axe throwing. They went to these live arcades where the whole place is covered with these walls and stuff. And our son is an absolute nut techie, so he had to go to 2 Apple stores. So yeah, it said like they did over 17,000 steps or something in the city. So anyway, so they met me here. I had to take a bus from Southampton, and bless Richie Crowder and Bob Murphy picked me up at LaGuardia when I first arrived. Just the greatest people. And Richie even called me on my way to make sure I was on the bus, because he said, if you get stuck at the airport, I'll come pick you up. And he's picking up his granddaughter or something midnight tomorrow night. So I told him he ought to do it as a job. It's really funny.
When are you gonna
But,
get him and Pat on this, on one of these calls?
I don't know. She doesn't want to. I don't know. They probably need their grandson to get him on. It would be great. We were trying to talk Murphy, right, Dave? I don't know.
Bob's on.
Bob is here.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bob, say hello to Sue.
Silent. He's muted.
Is he muted?
Yeah.
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 Hello,
Hey,
Sue.
Bob. Hi, Bob. Unbelievable.
You're still trying to get home, huh?
I am. Did,
You still-
did-
Oh, boy.
did you hear about our car dilemma?
Yes, Richie told me. My goodness. You know, Sue, I was sitting
What?
here thinking. And Dave, Richie, and myself have been friends for almost 70 years. Best friends, not just friends, best friends for almost 70 years. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Great guys. You're great guys. For sure.
Are we, David, am I still doing the echo thing?
Yes, you are. So when you're done with this conversation, mute yourself again. But it's okay. We'll.
Okay, but
You know,
when you get a chance, Dave, you can put me on mute now, but when you get a chance, I'd like to tell my story, if that's okay.
tell it.
Well, you got the floor now, so everybody else be quiet.
All right.
And we'll
So-
hear from Bob, and then the only other person we need to hear from is Eleanor.
Okay, so I think I'm the only one who's still on Long Island and still goes to Wantagh High School for all the sports events. And I've been doing that for 60 years. And I want to tell you about my family. I got 4 beautiful daughters. I have 9 great grandchildren.
We gotta get going.
And I've worked as an electrician for 40 years. I loved my job, loved going to work. And then I retired about 20 years ago. and became almost a full-time babysitter for those 9 grandkids. And that was basically the best time of my life. Those grandkids are just the best. And that's my story.
That's a great story.
Now you can mute me. You can mute me, Dave. Dave.
Okay, but before I do, John Scuderi's in Wantagh now.
Oh, that's right. That's right, John. I'm sorry. But he's part-time.
Yeah, but you're in Babylon, right, Bob?
Yes, I am. Yes, yes.
Okay, so
But I'm
Scuderi's
very
got-
involved with the wrestling program in Wantagh.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna mute you
Hey,
now.
Bob, I have a great little bar restaurant in Massapequa. A meal is $6. We get a meal, a pitcher of beer, and we walk out of there, tip it all for $12. It's called the Little Lounge.
I'll look it up, John.
Great place.
Okay.
I was
Hey,
I
I'm
was in
sorry,
Mass
guys. I gotta
with
leave.
today
I'm getting on a plane.
getting my eyes checked.
Okay, Sue.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
Bye, Sue.
Bye. Good night.
Sorry, I just.
Have a safe flight.
Thanks.
All right, Eleanor Whidden, you haven't said a word since the beginning of the call.
With her one.
Yeah, but well, you were
Have my
very,
Wantagh shirt on.
you were very talkative before we started the recording. And
Just listening to everybody, that's all. No, I have, again, there's so many of us that have 4 daughters. I also have 4 daughters. But you were talking about, Bob was talking about the wrestling. I have one granddaughter who does wrestling in the state of Maryland. They have female wrestling team, and she's on that. And I have another granddaughter in Florida who is on the girls' weightlifting team.
Wow.
So
Whoa.
watching all, I love sports in high school, so they have all, most of them have all followed in my footsteps. But they now let them do whatever sports they want.
That's
well,
right.
that's good,
Yeah,
and they should.
Mhm.
right.
So I have 2 funny stories, right? When I was in Vietnam, I was putting in computer systems, and we flew on this old beat up C-97 that was built for Harry Truman for the first Air Force One. So we averaged less than 50% of making it to our destination. We're always losing an engine. But I got to know the crew chief pretty well. And he asked me if I would go out with him on a C-130 to kick flares out of a C-130 over Cam Ranh Bay in Ton Son, Vietnam. And I said, why are we kicking flares out of a C-130? He said, so the B-52s could come in and do the bombing. So I says, okay, rather than sitting at the club every night at a nickel a drink, I'll go kick flares out of C-130. We were kicking flares at something like 500 feet. And then all of a sudden, the bullets started hitting the plane all over the place. I said, Vanderwood, you stupid ass, volunteer for anything, get the hell out of here. But anyway, I only did that one time. And I said, enough of kicking flares out of a C-130. But that was interesting. I flew on that Air Force One for almost 4 years because we brought it from Westover, Massachusetts, Springfield, over to Vietnam. It was stationed at Guam. But then we used it to fly from base to base to I was putting in computer systems. But at any rate, it was interesting flying on that plane. Well, I did 120 trips on that plane and averaged less than 50% of making it to a destination. We always lost an engine, always landed at some place we weren't supposed to be because they kept losing. We had to manufacture parts. They quit making parts for it in 55. And we were flying it in the early 70s. So an interesting time. Harry would have appreciated that. That's why I wound up flying Cessnas and Cherokees, but it was because of the experiences I had on that C-97.
Wow.
Fun times.
Well, I wanted to add that today is Pat Schwarga Deeren's birthday. And Pat and I met in 5th grade with Harold, right, Harold? We all had Mrs. Lamb and, anyway, Pat is in the process of selling her house in Pennsylvania and living full-time in her house in Stewart. So, it's a big step for her. Yeah.
Lynn is right. By the fifth grade, I had fallen in love with both of them, so it was okay.
And both of us fell in love with Harold.
Yeah, little did we know Harold was quite the ladies' man.
That's just a rumor.
Tony, what is it like to see Harry again after all these years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to see Harry again. How you doing, Harry?
He's
Okay.
muted.
Got the love of my life, and I see you
Yeah.
nurse.
Good. Fabulous.
You'll have to hear all his stories when we look at it
Yeah,
on YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I was talking to somebody recently, maybe it was when we were with Dave and Sue, I don't remember, but I was talking about some times that we would take my boat out into the canal at my house on Beach Street
Oh, yeah.
and
Mhm.
wander up through the water as far as we could get and often not get too far because it got too shallow. But yeah,
And we would try walking out there till it got to where you couldn't get over some of the streams that were a little too wide.
yeah. And it was all
Who shot
marshy.
that BB gun?
Tony, did you get? Oh, go
Who
ahead.
shot me in the butt with a BB gun?
Yeah. We not only shot with BB guns, but I remember a couple of times we took shotguns out there and pretty much shot anything that was flying,
Yeah.
which probably wasn't a good
Tony?
idea, but yeah,
Tony,
yeah.
hi. We used to build our own little boats and float out to the island on Mill Pond. And one weekend, our parents let us sleep out there.
Wow.
But you wouldn't be doing that today.
Yeah.
That was a great adventure.
Wow.
Hey, Tony, did you get, did your boat get hung up on the eelgrass? Did it get caught in your propeller? The grass?
No, we didn't have an engine on it. We were rowing
Oh, wow.
as best we could, but the water got very shallow and in parts of that creek, the Cedar Creek was the name of it, were mucky. You know, it wasn't a nice sand bottom. It was kind of muddy and you could get, when the tide was low, you could get easily hung up. We never made it to the first bridge, which we were trying to do, get out to
Didn't
the
either.
bay there, but yeah. It was fun.
Tony, do you remember when Harry climbed that antenna thing at the behind the
Army
hotel?
property.
Yeah, the army property behind the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And they got whiplash somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. That was fun times back there at when they had the army reservation there, because I think Eleanor remembers, we used to go out there with those guys at night and bake
Oh, yeah.
potatoes on the fire.
Yep.
Yeah, we had
Who wa-
good times
Dave-
out there.
Dave, who was the gentleman who wrote the big article that grew up with where we were? And he was on Facebook. I
Oh,
can't
that
remember
was
who it was.
Robert Ogilvy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
Oh, yeah.
Robert Ogilvy that wrote it? Okay.
Yeah, really.
Harry, do you remember him?
Yeah, I sure do.
You know,
I took care of his children. He had a set of twins and one of them was born and wasn't doing that well. And they transferred him to Meadowbrook when I worked there and I took care of one of his boys when they were
Oh,
born.
neat.
Yeah, he said he tells his son this story all the time.
you know
I
what
don't
he
know
did?
why he doesn't come on. I really don't.
You know what he
He's
did?
up there, Harry, he's up there by you somewhere.
Robert
I think
Ogilvy,
he's north of Albany.
yeah, he just moved. He was out on the plateau area towards Binghamton, but he now moved closer to, he sold his house, a big house, and he moved near Albany. But yeah, that's Shorty Ogilvy, remember?
Right,
Yeah.
Shorty.
Right.
Shorty.
He lived
He was-
across the street from me, so.
Yeah,
Right.
he was the soda jerk in the sweet shop in town.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh, that's where,
He
that's where
came down-
Pat
he
and I
came-
hung out.
Yeah, he would come down a few times a year to get to his attorney. No, not his attorney, his accountant. And because he had, I guess, a lot of funds down here or whatever. And he would play cards with us and tell us stories about his youth. But yeah, that was one of the stories. He was the main soda jerk for the Wanto Sweet Shop.
I'll be darned, but he was a traitor
Okay.
because we had to hang out at Al's. We couldn't go to the sweet shop.
That's right.
You know, I don't want to interrupt anybody, but I want to tell you about Bobby Ogilvy. He decided, I think in 6th grade, that he wanted to get smarter. So he read the entire book, all those encyclopedias. And you remember how many volumes they were. They were about 20. But he got through all of them. That was one of his
Dave-
quests.
Yeah,
Wow.
Dave, but also I heard that Larry Sherinsky read the Encyclopedia Britannica from cover to cover
Oh, wow.
and could actually remember almost everything that he read.
Yeah.
So him and
Wow.
him
He was
and,
a pretty
him and
sharp guy.
Shorty Ogilvy were friends. They were very close.
Yeah,
Right.
they were good friends. In
Yeah.
fact, the three of us, I think, the
Pat
two
and
of
I
them
were
and
in
me,
that
and I
room.
think Bobby Etlinger too. There was 2 empty lots right next to where Larry lived. And when guys were doing some construction on one of them, we would borrow some of their wood and build a little shack that we used to hang out in. Yeah, the 4 of us used to hang out down there once in a while. It was kind of fun. But yeah, it was good.
Hey,
Good time.
this is great, but I want to shift the discussion for a minute before people start to leave and we can come back to this. There has been some suggestion that we ought to get together in person again while there's still enough of us to fill more than a phone booth. Thinking about sometime next winter. We could get together as we did before, or we could go on a cruise. And I want to know what people thought about this. Do you want to do a reunion? It's a lot of work, but it could be very rewarding. We won't have the pandemic, I hope, to worry about like we did the last time. And of course, the class of 62 would also be welcome to join us as they did before, as would other classes. But the 62 are real go-getters, so we're happy to have them with us. But I'd like people to comment, are you interested at all? And if so, should we try to do a regular land thing? Or do you want to do it on a boat? And where should we do it? Or where should we do it from? So I'll just throw the floor open and let's talk about it. And if people want to stick around after that, and we can talk about more good things, or we could recall some of our friends whom we lost, or whatever you want to do. But let's talk about reunion for a minute. Anybody have any comments? I'm going to ask John Higgins to start off because you're the cruise expert.
Yeah, Dave, the one thing that I was thinking about a cruise is at this stage in our lives that we have a lot of single people. And the way the cruises are going now, unless you can find a cruise that will give you a break on the single, they're requiring
Rose up.
Lost you, John.
to buy a home. So it is quite expensive.
Well, we could
That's,
double up.
that's my only thought.
You're breaking up, John.
Yeah, I know what he's saying, because we were just recently looking at a cruise, and the single was it was slightly under a double. You know, 2 people. So they were not given the kind of discounts for a single occupancy as much as they used to.
There are some cruises that don't have a single supplement. And so there's a possibility there, but also we could double up. Two singles sharing a room, which could help.
It could be interesting too.
Now we'll have stories to tell.
Oh, Dave.
Well, and you could change every night who you would
Shame on
double
you.
up with. You know,
Anybody,
You put the names in a hat.
anybody that rooms with Murphy's gonna go to jail.
Look at if they could do it in New York City in a pride parade. I don't see any
Yeah.
reason why we couldn't do it on a
Hey.
cruise.
As long as the guy stays on his side of the room, I don't care.
Yeah, but the
What do you
rooms
mean
are
guy?
small.
Maybe it's a girl.
That could be too. I have occasionally roomed with females with whom I was not intimate, and it worked out okay.
Sure.
Oh, you have any other stories to go along with that?
All right, so
Curious minds want to know.
so John, you're thinking a cruise might not be the best idea, is that it?
Me?
No, John Higgins. John, turn your camera off for a second so we could hear you maybe.
well, just from a financial standpoint, I think he was.
I've got a,
I just unmuted you, John. But we can't hear you
Yeah,
because your bandwidth
it's
is
not that I don't think it's a good or,
I think regardless of what we do, whether it's a cruise or on land, we should have one night where we do something really crazy like costume night or something.
Oy.
No.
Are there small ships around? I hate the idea of being on one of these things with 5,000 people, you know?
Yeah,
Think about the river cruises, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
River
are.
cruise.
yeah.
John, are there any small ships that go out of Port Canaveral?
not really. No. Not,
What
how
about
many days
Tampa?
are you looking at?
Well, there's a lot of small ships cruising in the US right now. In fact,
Oh,
Viking just started doing river cruises, and there's American
cruises,
Cruise Lines. They're cruising the Mississippi, they're cruising New England, they're
Oh,
cruising.
Yeah, I was thinking
That's-
we could go to the Bahamas or something like that, or that they're pretty cold in the winter.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's the Bahamas in the wind. That's where you would go on a 3 or a 4 day cruise. 3 day cruise, you out of here, you'd only go to Nassau. And most people who have been on a cruise don't want to go back. 4 day cruises, 4 day cruises, you'd pick up the private island and Nassau.
Anything that goes down towards the Virgin Islands or?
Oh, sure, that's a week cruise.
That's a week, huh?
That's a week.
I don't know if we could do a week. It gets expensive for some people. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
mind.
Those were the two things I thought. Now, the river cruises and the short inland cruises. Again, you're faced with the cost. And
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. I mean, we cruise all the time, so it's not a problem for us, but
Let's hold off on that for a minute then, because we have the downside, there are upsides as well. What if we did it on land? Where would you want to be? You want to go back to the island once? You want to stay down in Florida? What do you want to do?
If it's the winter, somewhere warm.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Yeah,
Doesn't have to be the winter. I mean, but that's what we were thinking of, particularly because we were thinking cruise, but it doesn't have to be.
it should be. It should be, it really should be.
Think that's better than wait until next summer and,
Absolutely.
okay, then where?
Well,
You
I
wanna
think
stay on-
John's the expert. Maybe we can,
We have a big bunch of people near Tampa. Eleanor, you're up there, right?
Yes.
And there are several others, I think. So that's another possible locus, or we could go down around further south
Oh.
along the Gulf.
Eleanor, do they have any cruises around Tampa Bay?
Yes, they Carnival goes out,
No,
Norwegian.
not cruises. I mean, like,
Around Tampa Bay.
a small boat, ship that we could rent that would take us maybe on a tour Tampa Bay or something like that. And
I haven't heard, but I can find out. I haven't heard. The only one I know of just does the city. It's just a small thing that goes around the city. But I'm not sure if they have ones that, are small and just do short trips.
It goes up to St. Petersburg and, around
Right.
the Bay Area there. But we could also go further south on the Gulf Coast if you want. There's a lot of resort areas going south, starting with the Sarasota area, and then south of that, what do we call it? Where the
Now,
hurricane.
Fort Myers isn't
Fort
cleared up.
Myers, yeah.
They're not really cleaned up yet.
They're not, huh?
A lot of damage.
No.
Well, Sarasota's okay.
Yeah, they were okay. Fort Myers and all it's not, it'll be a while.
Too bad.
My son has a amusement park in Fort Myers. They're back open, but there was a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Still work to be done. It's called Gator Mike's. Nice amusement park.
Uh-huh. They've got all the bridges reopened though, right?
Yes. The bigger ones that go out to Sanibel and Captiva.
Sanibel Island, yes.
Yeah, but they
Right.
got that bridge opened. There's a lot of money on that.
how about someplace like Savannah?
Well, Savannah's a gorgeous city.
Well, if you're going up that way, then I was thinking of St. Augustine, Jacksonville, or what's that place out east of Jacksonville with it? They got a beautiful beach out there.
Amelia Island?
I should say
Yeah.
Amelia Island. where
Amelia
Kennedy got
Island.
married.
Or you can go over the other side, Pensacola, and then at Panama City. They
Panama
may
City.
on the Gulf side, they may have places there that have day cruises and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Where Terry used to go,
Destin.
Destin,
Destin.
Alabama, something, or
St. Augustine is a beautiful town too.
Yeah.
Well,
Who's
if
our, who's our research librarian?
Well, the Floridians ought to contribute to the conversation.
I'm sure they will. I think between all of us, we could come up with something that would be very suitable.
What about back on Long Island? I mean, John Scuderi, I don't care. But if that's a possibility, is
Sure.
there somewhere in Wantagh that,
I would love to go
Uh-huh.
back to Wantagh, but
Well, there could
we're
be,
right nearby,
could
but
be-
not in the wintertime.
no,
right, it would have to be in the warmer weather, and the problem a little bit is that it gets very crowded.
yeah,
But, you buy New York City, one of the greatest cities in the world. There's a lot of places on Long Island. Dave, you were out by Montauk.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do. It's
Well,
just that there's a
everything's-
lot of other people doing it also.
That's
Well, if
it's
we go to
very
Long
expensive.
Island,
Very
very
expensive.
expensive, yeah.
Maybe we could all rent a room at the JBH.
That was
Well,
my next thought.
that would work. Have they refurbished that place?
We've done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Done
I
it
don't think
several
so.
times.
We've
I have
stayed there a few
never-
times.
I have never been inside of that hotel. Johnny kept telling me I just made that up. I said I never went inside.
You weren't
spent-
allowed.
I probably not.
I spent one night there in the dingiest motel type room you ever did see.
Yeah,
It was in,
we did. It was kind of a one-star room, but I'll tell you what, the Italian restaurant was to die for.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ellen and Walter really got pissed because we celebrated my 18th birthday there. And I'd been drinking there for 2 years.
Anybody know how many rooms they have? Maybe we could buy the place out.
I don't think they have more than 6 or 8 rooms.
Oh, that's not enough.
Yeah.
We looked into that as a reunion once. I was with Rich Edom and a few of us went to dinner there. And Tony, you're right. The food there, the little restaurant, is excellent.
Yeah,
A little pricey the way most places are around here, but the rooms are just very, very old. They've been redone.
yep.
They're old. Yeah.
There's always.
I'm
the Outer
afraid to go
Banks,
back
North
there.
Carolina,
That's hard to
rent
get
a
to.
couple of houses.
I'm afraid to go back. Then the Myers may recognize me as breaking their front door with a baseball.
Uh-oh.
You might go to jail.
There might be a lot of warrants out for Wantagh graduates.
Yeah.
You
This
know,
guy.
that
Sure.
was a
Alright,
pretty
what-
good idea that maybe the Carolinas and rent something on the ocean or,
On the ocean.
yeah, that,
But in the wintertime, that's not really very warm.
no, but in the spring, it gets pretty nice.
You
So
know,
that might be an option along with the cruises.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is nice. You can go there.
There was several years back, we, Jimmy Schmidt, who was in class of 62, he and Ginny had told us about Hilton Head. And they investigated and we rented a house. There were, I don't know, 10 or 12 of us there, and it was right on the beach. We were there, I think, in September, so it was quite warm still. But springtime could be nice, and there are a lot of houses, maybe if it's, end of winter before the summer season starts, might be able to get couple of houses. That would be a possibility if they were close together. The house we stayed in was really great. There was the house, the pool, the dunes, the ocean. That was it. I mean, there were houses around, but we had straight shot right out to the water on a beautiful flat beach. It was very nice. I don't know how it would be to try and get a couple of houses. That would be the problem, depending on the number of people. But it was,
Pat, that was Hilton Head?
I beg your pardon? Hilton
That
Head.
was Hilton?
Yeah.
You also got all those barrier islands, like from Duck and stuff like that going.
Ocean Isle is nice.
What's
It's just
that?
over the North Carolina border from South Carolina.
What's it
About
called?
20 miles north of Myrtle Beach.
What's it called?
Nice. Ocean Isle.
Mhm.
It's the only part of the ocean that faces south, other than Jones Beach.
Well, we got a lot of great ideas. What's our next step, guys?
You know, what I would suggest is that maybe the fall would be a good time to do that if we could actually put it together by then, because the weather would be almost be perfect.
I've got an idea.
You know, in some ways, and I hate to say this, but the sooner the better. I wouldn't mind the fall, particularly if it's early enough that it's still kind of warmish.
The class of 1968 Southside High School invited me as a teacher and another friend as a teacher to attend their reunion in Rockville Center on September 30th. They have a whole day planned. They're going to Hempstead Lake State Park for a picnic in the afternoon. They're having a breakfast and tour of the high school in the morning. And then in the evening, they've located a place right in town that has an upper terrace that overlooks the entire town of Rockville Center for dinner and dancing. But that's just one day, they plan that. But yeah, it all takes a lot of coordination, I guess. But also down where my house is, Ocean City, Maryland, Rehoboth Beach, Fenwick Island, that whole Delmarva Peninsula has a lot of beachside towns that are very, very nice to stay in, and they have condos that you can rent Not so cheap though, but that's a possibility, a few days down that way. And that's not quite as warm as Florida. But it's nice area right on the ocean.
Do you think we could do something the last weekend in September?
That's a great time because down where I am in Ocean City, it's impossible to be there during the summer. There are so many people that visit, and the rates for any of the rooms are just sky high. But in the spring and the fall, they have very reduced rates, and the weather is nice. You can still swim in the fall.
How about the weekend after Labor Day?
Right, after school is back in session.
School is back in session, the prices drop,
Yes,
so we could do
that happens.
something.
That happens in a lot of places up and down the coast.
That would be a great time. Sometime around, well, the weekend is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it'd be the 8th, 9th, and 10th. We could even start on Thursday.
Yeah, it's not too far away either. Sort of in the middle of everybody.
Well, there's, dozens of places along the coast from
Right.
Myrtle Beach on down. And we could ask people what their favorite destinations are and get some ideas.
Could even be mid-week, get better rates.
Dave, how about a survey or an expression of interest that you could send out to the people
All right, I can do something.
on the mailing list, and then we have 100 people on the mailing list. We could
Yeah, we do.
see what the expression of interest is, different dates.
Early October would even be nice, if you don't get too far into the month, like the.
I don't want to get too late or it's too damn cold to go in the ocean.
Yeah.
Can I just say something? We would love to go, but Harry's being diagnosed with a neurological disorder that is still up in the air, and he's in a wheelchair. So we won't be able to go, but our hearts will be there.
Well, we can get someplace that's accessible. They don't all have to be up on stilts.
No, he's getting weaker by the week. Every week he gets weaker. He can't open a water bottle anymore. And he was walking
We
up
certainly
there.
hope that'll change.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we get a diagnosis that has some medication that can help.
That'd be
But-
fantastic.
We're in the middle of that right now, and I had to quit my job just to stay home with him because he's just getting weaker every week.
And I'd like to just butt in right now and just say 73 to all they know the ham
Okay,
language,
73.
and especially to Eleanor, to let her family know that I'm thinking about all of them, and give my regards to the whole family, and we miss you a bunch.
Oh, thank you. I miss you too. How are your sisters?
I've got one living in Freeport. She still lives there. Lived there most of her adult life. And I've got one that lives up near me, Dina,
Dina,
past 74, and
64.
64.
right. Well, it
And my-
was really good to see you, I have to tell you.
Yeah, it was. For the uninitiated, 73 means regards. as
Uh,
ham speak, and you can tell if somebody's not a ham because they'll say 73s because regards has an S on the end, but 73 does not. 73 means regards. So 73 to you, OM. OM is old man.
Yes.
That's like over and out.
Young lady,
And then there's YL, young lady.
young lady. Yeah,
Or what I really like is XYL.
that's right. Oh, no,
Well, or it means the wife.
the ex-wife. Oh, does
No.
it mean wife or ex-wife?
No, it means wife, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think so. But
I just heard
there's all
about it.
kinds of abbreviations for hands, but 73 is regards, and that's how people sign off. So, okay, I'll get up some kind of a poll, send it out.
Good.
And Ogilvy, where is he living now, John?
Near Albany, I believe, in New York State.
I have him, let me see if this is the right town.
I'll send you his email if you want, and you can contact him.
If it's changed, if it hasn't, I've got GF Farms too.
He might have changed that.
All right, so send me what you got.
I will.
And I won't send out the revised class directory till I get that one, cleaned up.
Oh, okay. I'll do that right away.
Okay, thanks. And get back to me.
Yes.
All right, so. All right, so that's our next step on the reunion, and we're looking for, we're talking about places on the East Coast, Southeast, so to speak, sometime in September, October, right?
Right.
All right.
Well, I wouldn't be a party pooper and you guys do your plan, but I'm still in Maine through the end of October. So I wouldn't be able to do that, but I'm not saying that you change that, but.
You couldn't come down?
I'm coming down to Jersey on the beginning of September because my cardiologist is turning 100 years old.
Wait, well, he's his best patient.
That's right. Yeah, you got to drink a glass of red wine every day and eat blueberries. So that's what
They've been putting me on blueberries too.
Oh, I have blueberries every day and I drink wine pretty much every day. But anyway.
What date are you going to be in Jersey?
I don't know what the exact date of his party is. His daughters are setting it up. So, but I think it's the beginning of September.
All right. Let me know, because maybe we can work around that if it doesn't hit into the Jewish holidays, which are right smack in the middle. Okay. Do we want to talk about the people we've lost, or do we want to sign off?
Some of us our time difference is working to our disadvantage, and the lemon meringue pie is running thin on powering me through the day. I'm ready for a real meal. I'm ready for a real meal. So I love you all, and I'll just wave goodbye. See you next time, whatever it is, just tell me where you are.
Okay. Harold, it's good to see you, Harold. All right, so.
We're gonna go to another baseball game, so we're gonna sign up too.
All right, let's call it quits, but yeah, this has been a great evening. I mean, we had some really good stories. It was nice to hear good news. I'm so sick and tired of bad news.
Rest in peace to Artie Springer. Rest in peace to Tom Pescott. Rest in peace, Charlie. What was Charles' last name?
Dawson.
Dawson, yeah. I was
And
actually in a couple of classes with Charles. So,
and George Taylor, apparently.
And George Taylor, wow.
So those are the ones we've lost recently. Actually, George was a long time ago, but John just found his obit, right?
Yeah.
So.
And Sue was telling me that Cindy's doing okay. Cindy Zackby, Tom's wife.
Yeah, I tried to get her to come on today, but she didn't respond to my appeal, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, we missed her. I would have liked to have traded stories about.
And I guess Betty's doing okay. Betty Sims, Artie's
Betty
wife.
seems to be doing great. She's posting up a storm on Facebook, and that's a good sign. Unless she's, papering it over, but whatever it is, she sounds pretty upbeat on Facebook.
Yeah.
With all they say bad about Facebook, it's a godsend on stuff like this, because
Well, look at what we're doing. I mean, social media.
That's the other thing. Even if you don't want to do anything, I need somebody's name to put down as a co-owner of the Facebook site, so that if I am incapacitated or worse, God forbid, we don't lose it. So somebody has the right to deal with Facebook. Somebody please volunteer for me to, put your name on as a co-owner of the site. I won't ask you to embarrass yourself now, but please let me know, email me or call me or something, unless you want to speak up. But I need somebody who's willing to deal with Facebook if I can't, and maybe then look for somebody who can run the damn thing. And I will make sure that all of our committee has I'll talk to you privately. I don't want to send it out over the airwaves, but I will give you the Gmail password so you can get into the Gmail account too. But seriously, I mean, it's succession planning sort of thing. And I do need somebody whose name I can give them just to keep this thing alive. I'm hoping I'll be around for a long time. I could even be around but be incapacitated, but somebody's got to be able legally to deal with the site. So somebody get in touch with me and say, hey, I'll let you use my name. It won't have to be any duties, although I could show you around, what I do, but at least,
Well, I'm wondering, Dave, what was your 81st birthday? What day is your birthday?
I become 81 October 20th.
Oh, so I'm older than you, so no
Yes,
good to
you are.
pass it to me.
That's okay. I mean, we could have a succession of people if we need to, but
All right,
Yeah,
well, I'll
maybe one of the
volunteer to help you, Dave, or be a co-owner or a sponsor for whatever capacity.
could I use your
know.
name?
This way, yeah, sure, and this way I get more time to see Harry.
You're on Facebook, yeah?
I'm on Facebook, yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
it would be.
let me see if I can set that up and make you a co-owner.
Sure.
And then,
As we leave, I'd like to just say a short prayer. If you have a special thing that you don't want to pray out loud, just bow your head, close your
hey,
eyes.
you're the missionary. Go for it, Harry.
We thank the Lord for the chance to get together with all of our old friends, and we just pray for their health and their well-being, and that we love them all. And thank you very much. God, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Harry.
Amen.
Thank you.
With that, I'll say good night. And Mike, thanks for stepping up. And
Good
all
night.
of you, I love you all.
We
Good night.
love
Right.
you.
Nice.
So good to see
chat.
you.
Lynn and Tony, when you coming down here?
October.
Well, I'll be back maybe by the end of October. You coming early October or late?
We don't know
We
yet.
don't know yet.
All right,
We gotta come down before the snow flies here.
yeah, okay.
See
All
ya.
right, Godspeed, guys.
Hey,
Take care.
bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.